little bit of this thing out.
Yay. Yay. Congratulations.
Great. We're all figuring it out, right?
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am going to share. You should be seeing my screen. Okay, so welcome to the check-in for teachers. Today we have 3 offices who are here, so we're going to really spend a lot of time talking with you, and getting your thoughts and your ideas, your triumphs, your challenges. So we have from the Office of Federal Programs, we have Brenche Roby Fletcher, and we have a new support staff, Dr. Melissa Levy, who's on this call as well. We'll get some more from her in just a second. We also have from the Office of Elementary Education and Reading, that's myself, Sandy Elliott, and Leanne Cheeseman. And from the Office of Accountability, we have Sharon Prestridge with us today. So welcome, everyone. As you know, it has been an unprecedented time of learning. It has been a learning experience, not just for the kids, but for all of us, on how we make this work, and really ensuring that our students are college and career ready, and that they're prepared to compete in the global community. So just a couple of session norms. If you can open your chat box to add questions and comments on the side. You'll keep your microphone on mute unless you're speaking to the group. That would be very helpful. Just to keep background noise from interrupting as we go. So this session is being recorded, and all the resources that are shared in the chat box, as well as a PDF of this presentation and the recording for this, will be shared on our website. And I'll try and also get it mailed out to everyone who's participating today. So we'd like to welcome Dr. Melissa Levy as the new Title III coordinator. Dr. Levy, are you on the phone?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, do you want to say anything to anyone? We welcome you. We're so grateful to have you as part of the team.
Okay, yes, I look forward to working with everyone, and thanks for welcoming me.
Okay, so today we're going to go through some updates on resources provided by the MDE. I know that a lot of you, I'm just going to kind of say this as a side while I'm thinking of it. I know a lot of you got information on this meeting via the daily update from MDE, maybe from your superintendent or principal. If you would like updates that we're sending out from the English Learner listserv, you may want to subscribe to our EL listserv. You can subscribe from our EL page, or just email me and I can get you subscribed to the listserv for those updates. Also, we're going to have Sharon Prestridge is here, and she's going to share some updates from the Office of Student Assessment. And we want to spend a good bit of the time that we have together today talking with you, and y'all sharing with us what are your challenges and triumphs, and what are going to be our next steps as we work through this very different learning time. So I have a poll question for you that we'll just get started with, which is, how has your workload changed while working in this distance learning situation? Do you have less work than in a traditional school setting? Do you have about the same amount but different than in the traditional setting? Or do you have much more work than in the traditional school setting? So I'm going to move this aside here. And if you will go to...
Sandy.
Yes, ma'am.
I did place that link in the chat box for your poll.
Oh, great. Perfect.
So they can click on it in the chat box, or they can go to it on your screen. Either way they want to do it. So
Right.
I'll
Terrific. So Melissa, I'm sorry, I failed to introduce some really important people on the team. So Melissa Banks is our instructional technology specialist, and she is helping with questions that are on the chat box, and also just kind of giving us a lot of technical support. Laurie Weathersby, our Bureau Director from the Office of Intervention Services, is also on the line, and she's going to help us with making sure we get any questions that we feel need to go on to our leadership team at the department. She's going to make sure that we capture all of that. And Ginger Kessler is also on the line. She's our behavior specialist in the Office of Intervention Services, and she is capturing any links that you share with us for resources that you have. She's going to capture all of that so we can provide it for everyone after the meeting. But I see that some of you have already responded. You're in the process of responding. And I want to keep this up so you can see this as well. Looks like a lot of you are having pretty much the same amount, but very different.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to go ahead and go back to the presentation. We'll keep that up so you can still answer. So under any other circumstances, I would say, well, you're not working that, like this is not causing an overload of work for you. But as a classroom teacher for many, many years, I know this is a lot of work that you're doing. And I want to say we are incredibly impressed with all the work that you do. And we know it's a difficult job. This is a difficult and different learning situation for all of us, teachers and school personnel, as well as for students and families. So we're going to go ahead and continue. Sharon Prestridge from the Office of Student Assessment is here with some updates on the English language proficiency test.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon so far. Sandy, can you advance to the next slide? Thank you. These are some important dates that I wanted everyone to be aware of. Your DTCs are aware of this, but you might want to be aware of this information as well, especially the last two items on this list. But all scorable materials that are paper-based for the ELPT should be received at DRC by May 15th. Non-scorable materials received at DRC by May 29th. Now, this is a new item in that the Accessing and Understanding Score Reports webinar is going to be held on June 16th from 10 to 11:30. However, this is not the same type of webinar as we've had over the past 4 years. This new system, this new this new system is accessed through the actual DRC Insights system. It is not accessed through the OCR. So this will take you through how to pull down those reports and how to read the reports and understand what the reports are saying. So I would encourage everyone, whether it's school principal, whether it's a district test coordinator, federal program director, EL coordinator, teacher, EL counselor, I would encourage everyone to join in on this webinar on the 16th. The links will be sent to the district test coordinators, so you may want to let them know that you're interested and if they could share the link with you. Now, the webinar will be recorded and posted, but if you wanted to join the live webinar, you are certainly invited to do so. And lastly, for our important dates, the final student proficiency reports will be available to all districts on June 17th. So the webinar is the day before. The reports are actually available in the DRC Insight system. Slandy, thank you. On the MDE webpage, there is a special location that has updated information in the form of questions and answers. And I've given you the steps in order to access this page. You can do this two ways. You can follow the longer process, or you can click on the last blue link on this page in item number 1. And you will go to assessment and accountability, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the first one. And then you will scroll down to what are currently numbers 16 through 20. These are the EL specific, ELPT specific questions. Now, please keep in mind that the numbers 16 through 20 can change, because as other questions are added to the list, that may cause these question numbers to change. But Sandy, are you able to click on that?
Yes. Can you see that? Is that coming up?
It's coming up, yes.
Okay.
And there is assessment and accountability, and Sandy is going to click on that, and up come the questions that are related to assessment and accountability. Accountability, I believe, is question number 15, and our questions are currently 16 through 20. These are questions that have been sent in through the MDE COVID-19 email site, and we have formulated answers to these questions and posted them for everyone to read. If you have any questions about these questions or other questions about the ELPT, please don't hesitate to ask.
Is there anyone that has any question about these, anything related to the English language proficiency test at this time?
Please don't be shy.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go on, but if we can always circle back if you think something that you want to ask related to that. So now we're going to go on and talk about some of the MDE instructional resources. So as I said, you can sign up for the EL listserv, and you will get, every time we put out something that's new. We are adding to these resources on a regular basis, but when we add new guidance or something of that sort, I send it out on the EL listserv as well. So these are some of the resources that we have. So some of you may have been to these sites, and this is just a review for those who might not know about exactly what they are. So we do have specific guidance for districts on supporting English learners. So this guidance is a little bit different than just resources. So when you click on that link, you can go to English learners, and you'll see it begins with part of it, but this is actually a fuller document that actually goes into specifics about instruction for English learners and looking at the 4 domains and how do we look and adjust our teaching for those domains in a distance learning situation. How would we do it in a virtual setting or a technology-based setting, and how will we do it on a paper-based setting for those students who don't have access to a device or to the internet. It also looks at some general ways that we can collaborate and ways that we can look at things a little bit differently in our teaching to ensure that our EL students are really getting all the support that we can give them. So in this resources for districts, this is the Learning at Home resources for districts. And again, we have a specific section for English learner resources. And when putting these in, I really looked really carefully at them as far as the different levels and the different domains, as well as looking at how can we make this work, again, for students that have access and students who might not have access through a device or through the internet. So how can we make this work in a paper pencil situation? Because we know that's the case with many of our students. And then finally, our family supports and resources. So these are learning at home resources for families. And again, one of the things that we have, we can go straight to English learners, and all of these resources, we have screen free and digital. These are for, again, these are for families. But one of the things that I want to point out, we've had it around for a while and a lot of people use it. And that's our Family Guides for Student Success. And again, we have them both in English and in Spanish. And remember that these family guides are built around the standards, the ELA standards and the math standards for each different grade level. And it has an explanation of what the standard means for parents, as well as an activity that they can do, or different activities that they can do around that standard. So it's already built for you. So rely on that and go back to using that resource for your students. So then Leanne's going to jump in here.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So the next bullet is literacy supports, and that is just to make you all aware that our MDE literacy coaches are continuing to virtually support their support schools and support districts. So if you are in a district with an MDE literacy coach, please do not hesitate to reach out to them and say, hey, what can you do to help me, help my teachers, help my students? They have been spending a lot of time researching ways and strategies to support teachers virtually, and they've come up with some very creative tools that could help your teachers to meet the needs of your EL students. And then Sandy, if you'll go to the next slide for me, please. These are two additional instructional supports I really wanted to share because they are some that I've stumbled across, like you all, I'm sure, have been doing. I have been attending a lot of webinars, reading a lot of information on virtual coaching and virtual distance learning and that whole world, trying to learn it at the same time everyone else is. And these are two wonderful, wonderful resources I stumbled across that I did want to share. The first one is from the Massachusetts Department of Education, and it is their family guides. And these are very similar to our family guides for student success. One thing, though, that is different is that they also have theirs available in Chinese and in Portuguese. Chinese is one of our top 5 EL languages. And so to have this resource also available for your Chinese students as well, in addition to your Spanish students, would be something great just to send home. Massachusetts is a Common Core state, so the expectations that they have for their students are similar to what Mississippi has. There are a few differences. However, it is a resource worth sharing with families on. These are kind of the expectations per grade level. So even if you're not able to send home necessarily the specific instructional resources, if parents are aware of what the kids need to know, they can have those conversations with them or maybe find the resources on their own to support their students. The next one is probably my favorite resource I found, and it's one I have also been using with my own child at home, and it is from Chicago Public School District. They also are a Common Core state in Illinois, and so there are some differences. However, sorry, my baby's crying in the back. However, what Chicago has been doing is every 2 weeks, they have been printing packets for all of their pre-K through 12th grade students for math, science, ELA, and social studies. And something that is really cool is that they're printing them in English and in Spanish. And probably my favorite thing that they are doing is for high school specifically, they are providing, it's not just a generic high school packet, they are actually providing instructional resources for Algebra 1, Algebra 2, biology, chemistry, US civics, English 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there are a variety of high school resources there, and they are really good quality resources. The next thing with Chicago also is that they are doing remote learning packets for diverse learners, and they are also doing enrichment packets because we know that our EL students also can be gifted, right? They might want and crave those extension activities, keep their little minds busy, keep them out of mischief while they're at home. So that is a great resource. If you've got these amazing EL students that you know, oh, they could really be pushed to that next level, these packets would be worth looking at and considering as a resource to share with your families. In addition, one more thing that Chicago has recently added to their webpage is they have resources for parents. And these are their remote learning guidance pages. And they have it available in Arabic, Chinese, Polish, Spanish, and Urdu. And what's really neat is they do have like little one-pagers on how to make virtual learning a success for your student available in each of those languages. So great resource for our EL parents. If you're not a district that has the capacity to, provide translation in these different languages, this is a free resource that the standards are very similar to our standards. The content is going to be very similar. And also these two states have already adopted high instructional materials. So, it's good quality resources that they're providing. So I really was excited about sharing those with you all.
Thank you, Leanne. And we are amazed at the way you're able to handle that and handle the baby at the same time. Great job.
It's a gift.
Hey, Sandy, I've got a couple of questions that have come up here in the chat box. Do you want to go ahead and take them now, or do you want to do a few more things?
That's great. Let's do that now.
Okay, so Nancy, Nancy has a question about screeners, and Sharon has commented, but I just wanted to put it out there in case others maybe had some questions as well. So Nancy asked how they give a screener to a student that has arrived after the school closures. Sharon answered that question, and then
so for
it
everyone,
looks like Sharon and Nancy are kind of having their own conversation there, but
okay. Yeah, that's on discussion in the Office of Federal Programs. Brenche, are you on the line? I think she's not on the line.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I had a problem with the mute. My mute is delayed. So
that's okay. All right. So Brenche, the question about screening students during distance learning, do you want to address that?
That's a question that we will have to, we're in conversations with student assessment and accountability with, because the state elected to go with Lost Link as their screener. That was a state level decision. So we'll have to turn that question over to Sharon.
Okay, as I said this is Sharon. As I said in my response to Nancy, our contract with DRC Lost Links will expire on June 30th, 2020. OSA has requested a screener as part of our RFP scope of work. So once we have a vendor in place, once a vendor has been selected based on the proposals submitted, those proposals have to be evaluated. Once the evaluations are complete and a vendor is selected, then we will have a new screener in place. And of course, we will notify every district in the state as to that screener and where it's found and so forth. Now, she asked a second question that, let's see, it keeps moving. If a student, let's see, if we have a student that arrived recently, do we add them to our EL roster or do we wait until the fall to do a screener with the new RFP? Well, Nancy, part of that has to be yet determined in terms of if and how you will do a screener prior to June 30th. Now, please note, Nancy, that a student cannot be classified as an L until the student has been officially identified. So please don't just go and mark them as an L, because there's a tremendous process involved in getting that classification removed. So the student has to be officially identified, and it's a two-step process. If the home language survey indicates that the student speaks a language other than English or uses a language other than English, or is exposed to a language other than English, then the student is a potential L. That doesn't make them an L. That's a potential L. The other part of that identification is the screener.
Right. And so we are, yes. So as Brenche and Sharon said, we're in the process of determining that, but it's a bigger decision than just placing them in it. Keep in mind that if they come from a state that uses lost links, I think Connecticut is currently the only state that uses it. We can use their determination because they use the same screener that we're currently using this year. If they come from within the state, we can also use that status based on the previous school. Other states, that's where, if that are using other assessments, that's where the bigger question comes in. Does that help you, Nancy? I think you might be on mute, Nancy.
Hi, sorry.
It's okay.
For now, I guess we're just kind of in a holding pattern.
Right.
I believe the student is a newcomer from another country, and they were probably staying somewhere else prior to coming to us, but never had been enrolled in school anywhere.
Okay.
So just trying to figure out who is supposed to help this child at this point in distance learning.
Yeah, so it's a job for everyone. I think that we'll definitely we'll get that question to. I know Brenche is going to be on it, and we'll all follow up with this. Keep in mind, keep up with checking back on the COVID pages, because as they get answers to these questions, they get placed on there. As soon as I see something related to EL, and the same with Sharon in assessment and Brenche in federal programs, we put it out on those listservs as well. So we try to get it out in as many places as possible. But as soon as that answer is available, we'll get it for you.
Sandy, there's another question that says, let's see, when will we know when the new test is coming? As I just explained, the RFP is going out. There's a period of time where we will receive proposals. Once we receive the proposals, then those proposals will be evaluated by a team of experts. And based on the evaluations of the proposals, a vendor will be selected. And once a contract is signed with that vendor, then we will inform all of the DTCs and federal program directors in the state with where to find what the new assessment is, all about the screener, where to access it, how to access it, etc. So at that time, we can't really do anything in terms of giving you current information about the new test until we have an actual contract in place.
Okay, great. Melissa, were there any other questions around?
Amy just asked a new question, asking, and this may have been in those FAQs we discussed earlier. I can't remember if the scores will be available for students who completed their lost links in March. When will those be available?
Okay, Annie, if you go back to those FAQs, numbers 16 through 20, that was asked, but just a short answer is yes. We will have scores available for the students who completed the ELPT assessment in March, and we will also have scores for the students who completed limited domains. They will receive domain scores. And as I said previously, the students who have disability preclusions in place, if they were tested, those disability preclusions will apply. And I'm referring to the disability preclusions that I received prior to March 16th. Those disability preclusions will be applied, and the students scored accordingly. So yes, there will definitely be scores for the students who participated in the ELPT. Also, if you go back to those important dates, you'll see the very first item on that list referred to all scorable materials, paper-based, received at DRC by May 15th. The reason being, we want to be able to include all of the students who took paper tests by virtue of their language service plan or possibly their IEP or 504 plan. We want to be able to include their scores in the master data file and have those scores recorded on the testing tab, the ELPT testing tab in the MSIS, as well as districts receiving score reports for those students. I hope that answers your question.
Oops, I'm going the wrong way.
Now, someone else asked another question, does RFP mean request for proposal? The answer to that is yes. It does mean request for proposal.
Okay, Melissa, were there any others that we need to address right now?
That's all I've gotten so far.
Okay,
I'll let you keep going.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to go head on into the next section, which is really all about our discussion here today. So in the chat box, I'd like you to think about your initiatives that you've started during this time, your struggles and your triumphs related to distance learning in terms of a rose. So with a rose, we have that bud. So what are those new methods or initiatives that you've started? And what are the thorns? What are your challenges that you're struggling with? And also the blossoms, what have you accomplished that you're really proud of that you want to share with us? So if you'll take a minute or two to think about that and share any or all of those areas with us. And then we really want to talk and share. So if you have a blossom and something that you found that's really fantastic, or an initiative that you think is really going to grow into something really positive, we want you to share it so that others too can benefit from what you've learned, and also share your challenges so that others on the call can help work through. How have they worked through it? I want to leave both up here so I can see them, and you can too. So I see Emma has shared with us her Blossom about learning to use Nearpod. Emma, would you mind sharing with us some of that information?
Yes, absolutely. I just got an email about a Nearpod webinar for supporting ELs, and so I joined it. And I realized that Nearpod is working with Immersive Reader, which I learned about from the MDE professional development in February and January. And so I was super pumped about it. And I shared it with our third grade teachers who are using Nearpod with their students, and it went really well.
Okay, and can you tell us about it? Just give us a general idea of what Nearpod is for those of us who might not be familiar with it.
Yes, sorry. So Nearpod, it has a library of lessons that are pre-made, but it is a way for you to do the same content with a student. You can either do a live lesson or a self-paced lesson, and you can assign it to students where they can do it online. But what's really cool about it is it uses immersive reader, so students can read with the support of a picture dictionary and with native language support while they're using that program. So it's a great way to incorporate visuals and content, and for them to still get lessons even when they're not able to be face-to-face with their teacher.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. So Nancy, can you tell us about a little bit more about this Off to Class?
Yeah, I found out about it just off chance in one of the Facebook groups for ESL teachers. And it's usually a program that's meant for EFL. And it was created for adult tutoring and then probably high school. But I thought I would just start it with my newcomer group. I asked my parents if they'd be willing to, experiment with me. And it was kind of a train wreck for my year one newcomers because it was just too high. There wasn't enough scaffolding. But with my year two newcomers, I could get a lot further. The grammar element of it was really good. It's just that some of the topics and pictures that they use are really adult centered. Mm-hmm. But what I really liked about it is that it gives me a whole bunch of lessons and PowerPoint activities to start off right at the bat. It does have a placement test. However, I'm thinking the placement test is just too high for children.
How old are these students that you're using it with?
Third and fourth graders.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they have a good literacy background in their L1, then I can use it. But if they're still developing their reading skills, it's really tough. But it gives me, what I'm happy about is that it gives me a scope and sequence for intensive language acquisition instruction, because that's something I always feel like I'm floundering with, because we're straddling, two different jobs. One is, doing intensive language acquisition instruction, and then the other job is to give classroom support. So this just, boom, right away gave me a curriculum. It gave me materials. So it's a good starting point, but right now I'm using my own money for it. So if I, once I get more experience with it, if I really like it, I might propose it to my district office to see if it's something we'd like to keep using. And I think our university is using it with one of their intensive English programs. And I reached out to them and they said basically all they have done is just a placement test. I don't know if they're using it any further.
Great.
So it's something to think about. It's one of those programs that it's meant for, like, if you want to be a contract teacher and go find your own students. So I'm just trying to adapt it to my purposes.
Mm-hmm. Ginger, are you able to capture? There's a lot of great stuff that people are adding on here. Are you able to see that so that you can capture those so we can get some links to everybody. Ginger, we might have lost Ginger in the call here. I will see what we can do about capturing all this, because there's a lot of great stuff. I don't want to just go through individually and call everybody because I see so many good things. Is there somebody that wants to share something that they're struggling with that they really want some support with? I see Argelia Hancock, I think I'm saying the name correct, really put in a bud that her calls to parents have tripled since March. That's pretty amazing. Can you share some thoughts with us, Argelia, about how that's going? Especially with parents who may not speak English. We have a shy group here, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry, my microphone was off.
Thank you. Yay. Okay, good. All right.
Yes, I have about 60 students in my school right now. And yes, I'm still at the school right now. I was making phone calls all day today. And I have been doing this almost every day because that's the only way to encourage them, to motivate them to actually do work at home and keep up as much as they can. It's just different.
What kind of advice do you feel like you're seeing most that parents need to hear the most?
Well, they need to be aware that the school year is not over, that we are still working and we're doing our best every day. And there are many parents that they try and they really encourage and they make sure that their kids get up in the morning and do work and they get in Google Classroom and complete the work. But there are some others that they just kind of give up. So I need to keep calling these parents constantly. Do you shall complete your work? Make sure that you check on what they are doing every day. And they have been doing pretty well in my school. They have been keeping up with work. They try hard.
Great. That's fantastic. Dada, I think I'm saying your name correct. If I'm not, please correct me. You're asking about the programs and if they're free. Can you, so it sounds like most of us, money is an issue. Yes.
I was just gonna say I made a few responses to her in the chat. So some of them are free, some of them aren't free. Some of them are, some of them are not. Some of them have free versions, but that's definitely something that we could explore a little more if she wants some more information on that.
Great. That'll be fantastic. Maybe we can share that with everybody after and send that. Melissa has an incredible slide deck of resources that she shares with us on a regular basis. So maybe we can share that with them too, Melissa. I see Emma has a question here about, well, it's not really a question, it's a statement that she has some newcomer students that don't have a strong literacy background and don't have internet. So it sounds like that's a struggle for her. So, and I know that's a struggle for many districts. So is there someone out there who can tell us what are some of the things that you have done in your district or in your school or just personally with your own students that is helping in that kind of situation?
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, this is Johnson, and I work with the Biloxi School District, and our district uses paper packets. Now, what we do specifically for some SPED and EL kids is we've made up our own, I guess, differentiated instructional packets specifically for them. I teach at the middle school, so I know it's a little bit different for high school and elementary, but I made some packets specifically for my students that they can pick up every Monday, and some of them have done that, but others have picked up the regular packets that are given out for the regular students, and I know they've been struggling with it. So just like with Miss Hancock, because she also works with Biloxi Schools, we've done phone calls, but actually I had to go on some home visits, which that was kind of unnerving a little bit, but
Yeah.
we kept our 6 feet of distance. The parents and families wanted us to come inside, but we just said, no, we'll stay out here. And then we kind of tried to figure out if they had phones or tablets or laptops, see what was working and what wasn't. And I think just that personal one-on-one was really helpful for those who just didn't understand what was wrong, either with the packets, they couldn't understand it because there was too much reading, or with the technology side.
Mm-hmm. So what about reading resources, for printable reading resources? Do you have like a bank of level books, or what are you all doing? Because I know that's an issue of giving kids resources that they can read, those decodable readers or those leveled readers.
This is Alicia White, also from Biloxi. With the struggling students, for our newcomers, what we've been doing, the teacher that works with me, along with me, we've been doing WhatsApp a lot, one-on-one, Zoom one-on-one, and Epic books for the decodable books. They have high and low books and the Lexile books, and so we've been using that a lot too.
Okay, good. Is there anybody else that wants to share related to this issue of getting resources to families and to kids?
ReadWorks, I don't know. I mean, that's one tool that we use a lot. Readworks.org, and when you search, you find information that it has support for ESL that deals with vocabulary and the questions. And you basically have to try to find an article that matches the level of the kid.
Right.
So you can either print it and send it to the house, or if we have the internet, we do Google Meets. Great. Going over the material before they work through the week, and also work with the regular classroom teachers to accept work that is adapted for them, and make sure the parents know what they have to do. What somebody else was saying, you have to be calling constantly to make sure that they're working, that they understand what they have to do, and that they actually do it. Because, I mean, parents cannot support these kids at home other than telling them to do the work.
Right. Yeah.
Also, to add to that, ReadWorks is that if they do have online access, I've used that, and I actually can find articles and differentiate it according to their reading abilities. There's also a read aloud that you can turn on, and there's also, I think they can read it it can be read in Spanish, or maybe it's the instruction that's in Spanish. You can also add that to your Google Classroom.
Great.
What was the name of that resource again? I missed it. I'm sorry. What was?
Readworks.org.
Oh, okay. That was all still ReadWorks. Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay.
And Melissa, can you tell them about Immersive Reader a little bit? Because I think that that would be probably helpful for those who aren't aware of what it does.
Sure. I'd be happy to. Would it be a little easier maybe if I demoed?
So actually, why don't we do this? Can you share your screen? Is that what will work if I stop sharing?
Yeah, but why don't you give me just a minute to get that set up?
Okay.
Prepared to do that. So give me just a second to get some things pulled up. Maybe you could field a few more questions and I'll let you know when I'm ready to go. How about that?
Okay. All right. So Jamie's saying that many of his kids don't have computers or internet. So Jamie, what are y'all doing in the meantime for those students? Is that where you need help? And how can we help you? I think you might need to unmute yourself, Jamie. Okay, so we're going to go on and look at some other things. So I noticed that some people are mentioning the programs that they have already in their school that they were using, like MobyMax or Imagine Learning or Lexia Core 5.
I
And
apologize.
there you go. All right.
I
How are you?
finally figured it out. How
Yay.
to unmute. I was just gonna say that what we've done is just we've done take-home packets like most everyone else, and for some of the ones in the high school who did have internet, I met with them online daily to do reading with ReadWorks and to go through.
Great.
Okay, Sandy, I'm ready if you want me
ready.
to
Okay,
do a
I'm
quick
going
little
to stop
demo.
sharing, and then you can share, Melissa.
Okay, do you guys see my ReadWorks article now?
We do.
Okay. All right, so I just pulled up ReadWorks so I could have some quick text to borrow from. But I am in the online version of Microsoft Word. And there's a really long explanation I can give you. And feel free, we can reach out and connect later. But everyone can have, if your school is not a Microsoft school, you can use, as long as you have a school email address, you can get a free Microsoft 365 education account, you and your students, and it will give you access to Microsoft 365 online. So essentially, this is Microsoft's answer to Google Docs. So it's all online. You can collaborate in real time and do all of that type of thing. But what we're going to do, I just want to real quickly show you Immersive Reader. So I'm here in ReadWorks, and this is probably not what you're supposed to do, but I'm just going to copy this so that I have some words on my page. So I copied it and pasted it into my online Word document. And so what I want to do is I want to go to View. So I'm in the View tab right here. And then there is a control here called the Immersive Reader. And so that's what we're going to utilize today. And again, this is free. This is on the free version of the Microsoft 365. Okay. And so it's going to give me some tips real quick, like I've never used it before. But so here we go. This is my text. And then over here in the top right-hand corner, I have some controls that we're going to look at. And so these are the kind of buttons I'm going to be clicking through here in just a minute. So here's my text preferences, so I can change the size of the text. This is a lot of accessibility features. that is built into Immersive Reader. That's originally what it was intended for, was for accessibility. So I can change my text size. I can increase the spacing between the letters. I can change my font. I can change the background color for my visual impaired students. So, whoops. Sorry, guys. That window was in my way, and then I accidentally clicked on it. All right, so those are all options that I have. Then I also have some grammar options, so I can separate these by syllables, which is helpful for some of our students as they're just learning. You can turn on colors for nouns and verbs and all those types of things. So those are helpful as well. But this is kind of where I think the real power is, this last reading preference option. So here you can choose line focus, so you can really zone in and make sure that your kids are following along and reading. And so you can change that line focus, or you can turn it off. They also have a feature called Picture Dictionary that when we were talking about Nearpod earlier, incorporating Immersive Reader, this was brought up. So if any of you are familiar with the world of special education, the Picture Dictionary is sponsored or made in conjunction with Boardmaker. So if your special education teachers are already using Boardmaker, they're going to see the same symbols from Boardmaker in this Picture Dictionary. So if I have the Picture Dictionary turned on, I click on a word, it shows the word, it shows me a visual, and it will also say the word. So that's Picture Dictionary. Now, it doesn't happen for every word. There's not necessarily a picture for every word. So you can see this one does not have one, but it will still speak the word for them. All right. And then this is the really powerful tool for our English learners, is the translation. And I like to just turn it on by word. And so I need to choose a language. And then when I click on the English word, it will say it in English. It will show me the word in the language that I have chosen. And then that's the visual dictionary that goes with it. So just a really great way to kind of help help students as they're reading through to find. So English, Spanish, okay, and it will say it out loud as well. Just to FYI, this is pulling straight from like Microsoft Translator. So it's not 100% accurate. It's a lot like Google Translate. It's not 100% accurate. It's getting better every day, but it's better than nothing, which is what some of us are currently working with. So hopefully that could be something helpful for you. You can choose to translate the whole document, which means it will go ahead and translate the entire document. And then when I click on it, it will give me the word in Spanish or whatever language I have selected and the word in English. So that is an option, just depends on how you want your students to use it. And then down here at the bottom is where we have the read aloud. So I can turn on the line focus and do the read aloud. And so it just reads it aloud to the students and really helps them follow along. So that's Immersive Reader. Now what Microsoft is, yeah, just real quick, what they've done is they've built Immersive Reader into a lot of their other products like Flipgrid and Nearpod and some other technologies that they own. So they're taking all of this from Immersive Reader, but you don't have to use it in Microsoft Word. You can use it in their other software. So that's something that, again, if you want some more info on that, we can connect and I can help you out.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. Okay,
Sure.
So believe it or not, our time is almost up, and I want to be respectful of your time because I know you have a lot going on right now. I want to do one last poll question, and that is to ask if you are interested in doing additional meetings like this. And if you can just respond to the Menti question. So we've got, again, if you go to menti.com and use this code for the question, and just tell us, yes, you'd like to do something similar to today's meeting, Yes, but with smaller regional meetings or with smaller meetings related to specific topics like assessment or federal guidance or distance instruction, or if you're just not interested at this time. So if you'll just share your thoughts, and while you're working on that, I want to thank you all for joining us today. I know you don't hear a lot, but your work is incredible. It's a learning situation for all educators right now. But I think that we carry a heavier load in trying to really make sure we're meeting the needs of our English learners, not only for language acquisition, but also for content and how we can support each other. I am going to, while that's going on, I think everybody's got the questions. Please continue to respond. But I'm going to share with you just a reminder. This went out in the daily update. There is a webinar on distance learning with that Transact is putting on for everyone, and that's on May 15th at noon Central Time. So this will be in the PDF. We'll make sure everybody gets this. This is our student intervention supports team, and this is our English learner team. And you know, I say it all the time, and I really, really mean it when I say it. If you need us, contact us. We are here to support you, and we want to support you in everything that you do for our students. So thank you all so much for joining us today, and we hope everything goes well, and we will look into it. Looks like a lot of people are interested in further meetings, so we'll look into how we can set that up for everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can you please put the page back up with your email addresses on it?
Absolutely. The EL or the intervention?
I'd actually like both.
Okay, so here's the EL. Tell me when you're ready and I'll switch it.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great day.